The blood in the Mobfathers may be fake, but each and every one of the titties is real. Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Vincent Teresa, and this is my review of The Mobfathers. Herman Yao is one of Hong Kong's most prolific, professional, and reliable directors. There are a few things that I really admire about the vast majority of his work. Herman Yao doesn't make movies. He makes movies better than they should be. With a lot of his films, an objective glance at the cast list and the budget would make you cringe. To be clear, I am definitely not talking about Mobfathers here. I'm talking about Split Second Murder and Kung Fu Angels. Now, I enjoyed both of those movies immensely, but I didn't expect to. Here's an illustrative example of Herman Yao's directorial virtuosity that is from The Mobfathers. Deep appears in this movie, and he was actually good. The other thing I really appreciate about Herman Yao and his work is that he often brings a subtle but significant social and/or political consciousness to his films. With movies like From the Queen to the Chief Executive, Love Lifting, and Whispers and Moans, he tells stories about regular people and the struggles they face in their regular, unglamorous lives. The Mobfathers sit squarely at the intersection of these two aspects of Herman Yao's work. On one level, Mobfathers is a soundly generic, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all, and very entertaining gangster movie. Chapman plays a young-ish boss who's getting out of prison after a 5-year term. He's walking into a simmering gang war sparked by the imminent election of a new leader. Anthony Wong, who's made a lot of movies with Herman Yao, turns in yet another admirable, memorable performance as the dragon head of the Jinghing Society. A scene where he talks with his doctor is probably my favorite moment of his performance or even the entire film because it's so masterfully performed and it's very, very effective. Gregory Wong plays Chapman rival, another young hotshot on the rise up through the triad ranks. One thing I really appreciated about this character is the way that his sexual orientation is presented. It's seen as notable but not defining, and thankfully Gregory Wong never devolves into the mincing parody that too often passes for local cinema's portrayal of gay men, or Wong Cholam in general, but I digress. I don't want to tell you too much about the plot because I don't want to give anything away, but I was impressed with how much energy and life Herman Yao gets out of a well-worn and well-loved local film genre and plotline. We already know how the story unfolds, but there's still plenty here that's new and interesting. As much as The Mobfathers functions as a straight-ahead Hong Kong gangster film, it's also overtly political. Anyone with even a passing familiarity with local politics will see The Mobfathers as an allegory for Hong Kong's current situation. It even peeks over the fourth wall when a character bemoans the way politics has found its way into everything in Hong Kong. As another character states, even buying vegetables in the wet market is political nowadays, and he's right. So at least Mobfathers lets you know up front that it is politically loaded. In fact, it happens even before the movie proper starts. Mobfathers was produced by Chapman, who also stars in the film. He was allegedly blacklisted in China for remarks he made about the Occupy protests and Taiwan. His production company is called Hong Kong Film. The entire story of the Mobfathers can be read as an allegory for Hong Kong's political climate, with too many real-life parallels to ignore. The Jinghing Society's election committee is only 9 people. The rank-and-file Guatsai feel disenfranchised. In a scene that follows, we see Chapman character campaigning on the street in the identical way that real politicians campaign here. One of the jokes in the movie may seem overly simple or even atavistic.
He is the press. I want press. You are the press.
But it's referencing a local politician who said that his party would, and I quote, "try our best to improve people's livinghood." Sick. At one point, the police try to disperse a group of gangsters on the street who angrily ask, "Can't we walk and shop here?" A question frequently posed in Mongkok after the Occupy protests. But I don't really want to focus on the political aspect of the film. It's central, of course, but even if we turn a blind eye to it, there's still plenty of good stuff to watch in The Mobfathers. One of the things I really liked about this movie is how awful most of the people in it are. Most of them are cynical, bitter, unpleasant, unhappy people who are just grating up against each other. Even when they do that in a sexual manner, it's still miserable. I didn't appreciate the sex scenes for being graphic. I appreciated them for being honest and realistic. There's a sex scene in a car that's not mean, but all I could think of is how short both of those people must be to have that much space inside a Japanese car. I really am getting old. But never mind all that mawkish nonsense. As I noted earlier, Herman Yao can get some great performances out of his actors. It helps when they're good actors to begin with. Kenny Wong plays a police inspector whose attitude, methods, and motivations fit right into the tone of the film. The ever-reliable Tony Ho also appears as a middle management gangster. Another character at the same level is played by the eminently watchable Philip Kung Ho Man, and his performance here is especially noteworthy. As soon as we get Gordon Lam Gatong the leading role that he deserves, I nominate Philip Kung for next. The only thing I didn't really like about Mobfathers is something that's essentially beyond Herman Yao's control. I'm really annoyed by CGI used for blood. Call me old-fashioned, but squibs to me are just better looking. I understand that as a budgetary constraint, it's a lot faster and cheaper to do. I just don't like it. There's also another moment in the film that I felt would have been much more affecting with a prosthetic rather than CG. But it's still a refreshingly shocking moment, don't get me wrong. Speaking of refreshing moments, the Mobfathers allows us to play the official Silver Spleen game, Where is Jane Wong? Bonus points if you check out her expressions during the pertinent scene. Priceless. One more thing that may not be priceless, but is still valued and appreciated. There were a couple of times that the English subtitles offered some context and clarification for terms used in the dialogue. I really appreciate it, and I know that people who need English subtitles appreciate it too. So thank you. I really enjoyed The Mobfathers. It was almost easy for me because I like gangster movies and I like Herman Yao and I like Category 3 and I like movies with some sort of political element. But even so, it was even better than I'd hoped. It was entertaining and fun and thought-provoking. I can definitely recommend that you watch this movie as long as you do so in a legal manner. Don't download it, don't watch it online. Go to the cinema, buy a ticket and watch it. If you can't do that, wait till it's available for rental or purchase. Don't steal this movie. When it does get released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy a copy. If you enjoyed my review, please tell me. If you didn't enjoy my review, go fuck yourself. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. That way, I'll have more subscribers. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Turns in yet another memorable, admirable